Let's go back into the explanation. There were just a few other things that I wanted to mention, and then I'll take any questions that you have about this. Um, we spoke a little bit last time about this point made, number one, we take refuge in Vajrasattva. And we talked a little bit about the concept of refuge in general, which is an important word in Buddhist practice. And again, remember the idea being that it's not a matter of do you or do you not take refuge. It's what do you take refuge in? Everyone's taking refuge in something, whether it's, as I said, I think, often people take refuge in sarcasm, or they take refuge in the idea that their friends will always be there for them, or this thing or that thing will always be there for them. And then it's shocking when that thing is not always there for you. You don't know how to deal. So the idea is you take refuge in that which never goes away. You take refuge in that which can never possibly let you down. And there's only one thing like that, which is the infinite, the absolute God. Some people relate best to that word. The formless, absolute being, awareness. And in this case, we're connecting to the formless through the form of Vajrasattva. So this is the idea of taking refuge. When you're taking refuge in something that's a form of the infinite, really what you're doing is giving up all that false refuge. And that's psychologically very significant, even if you don't do any of the other stuff in here. Number two, we feel sincere regret. You got to be aware of, and this one's oriented more toward if what we're doing with the Vajrasattva practice is flushing out wrongdoing. Right, this comes up a lot when I'm doing this with prisoners. They've done in some cases, extremely bad things. And to just sit there and mechanically be saying a mantra, doing a visualization without sincerely, really confronting in your heart what you've done and really feeling the regret for that, it's not going to be effective. In fact, the really hardcore approach, which is mentioned later in the pamphlet, is that you vow upon pain of death to never do that again. So that's hardcore. And then number three, we have the thought never to commit such actions. This means restraining from the 10 non-virtuous actions, restraining from the 10 virtuous actions, as well as refraining from indulging oneself in the kleshas. So the non-virtuous actions, whether it's the 10 commandments or the code of Hammurabi or what, it's all cultures pretty much. No, it's not cool to kill, lie, steal. Harsh speech. See, now there's some stuff here that they didn't get around to in the 10 commandments that maybe they should have. Harsh speech. Think about that. Think about how much psychological damage, how much kind of violence is called. Nowadays we call it verbal abuse, right? Sexual misconduct. Now, this can bring up a lot of questions. Well, what's allowed? What's not allowed? The best definition I've heard is sexual misconduct means when you're engaging in sexuality that brings harm to yourself or others. Right, that increases the confusion and suffering of yourself and others. Okay, I think that's a really good definition. And then it's up to you to figure out exactly where it applies and where it doesn't apply. Worthless speech, interesting. Envy, covetousness, wishing harm to others. Now, by the way, well, no, not by the way. Okay, holding wrong views. Now, what does that mean? Wrong opinions? I'm in trouble if I had the wrong opinion about something. No, this is about view. View is, what's called right view in Buddhist teaching is the understanding, the basic understanding of what's what, which is that everything goes away, everything is impermanent, including your body, your mind, all your talents, all the things that you thought you could depend on. Wrong view is taking the impermanent to be permanent. Okay, and you can see how that gets people into all kinds of problems. And the last thing, using intoxicants that promote heedlessness. Again, like the one about sexual misconduct, I think this is a really cool definition. You know, because we go, well, gee, is it okay to have a beer? Is it okay to have a glass of wine? Is it okay to have a second glass of wine? Is it okay to smoke some weed? You know, some spiritual paths use psychedelics as their sacrament. Roman Catholics use wine as a sacrament. Using intoxicants that promote heedlessness. Heedlessness. When you're heedless, when you do stuff, when you get into that reckless thing, maybe it happens to you after the third drink. Some people, if they have one drink, whatever it is, where you become heedless, where you do stuff that you're gonna regret or that you should regret. Don't do that. Okay, the kleshas literally means the mind poisons: anger, greed, spiritual laziness, pride, jealousy, doubt, and etc. I like the etc. Fill in the blank. Please notice that it says, now, we can't necessarily control the fact that anger is going to cross our mind. Greed is going to occur to us. We're going to feel some spiritual laziness. I don't feel like doing my yoga today. I don't feel like doing my meditation today. We can't help that these things come up, but it's refrain from indulging oneself in the kleshas. That's the key word, indulging. Okay, it's there. We don't have to indulge it. We don't have to roll in it like a pig rolling in mud. We can go, okay, it's there. How can I shake this off and move on? Okay. Number 4, we realize that the Vajrasattva Mantra is the antidote to wrongdoings. Recite the mantra with full attention. You know that this is a power tool, and do it with some seriousness. And also helpful to engage in virtuous acts like volunteer work and so forth. Okay? The description of the practice, I don't think we have to, unless you've been doing reading in it and have specific questions about it. I think I can leave that up to you. It's all pretty clear. The main thing to know, let me get back to seeing each other. The main thing to know is that the practice can be as simple or as elaborate as you like. Okay, it's perfectly adequate to just have the general sense of brilliant, pure white light in liquid form, nectar as we call it, coming in through the top of the body, coursing through the body, and pushing out all the junk that we want to get rid of, pushing it out till we feel cleansed and purified. And we're kind of driving that process by chanting the mantra, and can even be just the 6-syllable version of the mantra. If that's, that's perfectly adequate. Now, if we learn the 100-syllable mantra, fine. Then to whatever degree you want to do that visualization, it says in there in the instructions, you can, slowly build it up. Personally, I'm really bad at visualization. I can barely visualize my front door. Some people are excellent at that. The main thing is to not be feeling, I think, like, oh, this is bad, this is inadequate, I'm doing it wrong. Whatever's there is fine. Do that. Okay? So,